The week of March 21st, we are digitizing Edna and going to cut her out for Lori Holt's chicken salad quilt. So I am in the Brother Canvas workspace. This website is canvasworkspace.brother.com. And I'm going to come over here to the My Projects tab and click that. This is a free website. And I took all of the chicken simple shapes and traced them onto printer paper and then scanned those pages into the Brother ScanNCut. And these are the designs that I'm using to make up the chickens. And I will use these designs to then create an embroidery file for use in Simply Applique. The pieces we're going to use for Edna are M3, 9, 16, 20. There are 2 pieces of 20 and one is reversed. Those are the wings. 23 and 24 reversed both, and then 31. 31 is the body, and that one is right here. When I hover over this, I have an edit button or a download. And right now I want to edit, so I'm going to grab this and just hit that button one time. And now I'm going to come over here into this menu, and I'm going to click on My Projects, and I'm going to begin to pull in all of the pieces that I need to use to build Edna. This set of feet right here was for Pearl, but I'm going to go ahead and reuse those. And I'm not going to use that beak. I'm going to highlight that and hit delete. But I'm going to take her foot and put it here, and the other one and put it here. I think that'll work just fine. And then I'm going to come down a little bit, and there was a beak right here in Cornelius that I think will work for her. I'm going to grab all of these pieces. Actually, I'm going to grab the ones I want to keep and move them off the mat. These were the feet. Should have done this differently. Okay, I'm going to highlight all of these and hit delete. Don't need those. All right, and then I need piece 3 and 9. So so I think we are ready to download. Go back down here. I think this is fine. I'm going to change the name to Edna and go to Project and the inbox with a plus sign, and I'm going to save it. It's been saved. I'm going to download, and I'm going to do the ScanNCut transfer so I can do the cut pieces. And I'm going to download again. And I'm going to download to PC for the FCM file so I can create the embroidery design in, I'll be using BES4, or you can use Simply Applique. I'm getting ready to cut out Edna the chicken for Lori Holt's chicken salad quilt. And I'm at the Brother ScanNCut. I've already sent the design pieces down to the ScanNCut from the Brother Canvas. And I want to explain a little bit about my process here for cutting fabric on my mats. This is the teal low tack mat. It says it right here, low tack adhesive mat. This is for the ScanNCut.
All ScanNCuts use the same color designations. So on the teal mat, which is low tack, if you have what's known as a substrate on the back of your fabric, and on the back of the fabric I have got Heat and Bond Light. All right, I'm going to cut the comb and the wattle out of this, and the paper is still on this. And this Heat and Bond is on in such a way that the fabric looks almost glassy. Okay, you really have to adhere the Heat and Bond Light into the fabric. You want those to be one with the fibers, so you couldn't even really scrape it off with your nail if you tried. You'd have to try pretty hard to do that. When you have that on like this, you can put fabric side up and Heat and Bond side down, because the low tack mat is not going to peel off. Let me move this. The low tack mat, the adhesive on it, is not going to peel off the Heat and Bond from the fabric. Okay. If you are using a standard tack mat, which is the purple one, or you're using the gold fabric mat, if you're going to have Heat and Bond on your fabrics, this mat is sticky enough to pull the Heat and Bond off of your fabric. So you would want to put your fabric on, fabric side down, Heat and Bond side up, and I just normally leave the paper on. And then you want to be sure to mirror your images in either canvas or in the ScanNCut before you cut them, because you're cutting them upside down. The idea with the gold fabric mat is that you're not really supposed to use any substrate on the back of your fabric with the fabric mat, because this mat is super, super, super sticky. And that means, like, you could cut quilt blocks out, your quilt squares to make blocks, using this mat right here, because you don't want Heat and Bond on a quilt block. But I am cutting out pieces that will be put into applique. They're applique pieces, so I do want Heat and Bond on those. I've gotten a lot of questions, and there's a lot of confusion about, because I did one video and it's had a lot of views about cutting fabric using the ScanNCut. And that was before I discovered being able to cut it fabric side up on the teal mat. I was cutting it fabric side down, not Heat and Bond side down. I was cutting it fabric side down on the purple mat, and it works great. It works just fine, but you have to mirror it. You can even do that here too on the gold mat. You just have to be sure that when you're using a mat, the standard or the gold, it is super, super sticky, and it will take the Heat and Bond off of your fabric, keep it on your mat, and then you're going to spend an hour scrubbing your mat. Which you can do if you want, but I don't think you want to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do now to get Edna. All right, in this ScanNCut, this is your main menu, and it says pattern or scan. When I scanned in the traced images of the simple shapes, I used this button here to scan. And these patterns right here, these are patterns that are in the machine when you bought it. But if you're going to make a pattern or get a pattern that you are trying to put into the machine itself, you're going to use the button here that says retrieve data. And that's what I want. And it wants to know, where do you want to get the data from? You can get it from inside the machine if maybe you saved a pattern in the machine yourself. There's from the cloud. Here's from a USB stick, or you could be cabled to your computer. Well, I'm getting it from the cloud, and it's going to retrieve it. And here's Edna all right here. Now, I don't need the chick or the wing because I've already cut all those out, but I do need that beak on the chick. And in this particular scan, I'm going to do this twice. So I'm going to scan the body one time, and let me take that and move it over here. And I'm gonna start getting rid of those things I'm not going to cut this time. I'm going to highlight like the chick. I'm going to hit edit, and there's a trash can. And you can see it's outlined in red right there. And okay. And now it has jumped up, I think, to either the wattle or the beak. That's the wattle. I want that. I'm going to cut that out right down here. And the beak I want as well. And I want the feet and I want that little chick beak, but the wing and all this, I'm gonna get rid of. I'm just gonna cut the body, the yellow parts, the red, and the body. So I'm gonna take all of these and let's see, I need this one. Put this over here. And delete, and okay, delete, okay. So I want to put all of these yellow pieces right up here to cut these out. And I want these red pieces next to each other to cut these out. And I think that that'll work just fine like that. I wasn't sure how big of a piece of fabric I was going to need for the yellow. So if I count my squares, I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do a 4 by. Okay, so this is good. I'm going to click OK. I'm all finished getting rid of those pieces I didn't want. And here's the scan button. It looks like a blue square with a bar over it. That's your scanning mat, scanning bar. So I need to load the mat. I'm going to snug this up right over to this corner and hit the load button right there. Okay, and now I'm just going to press start. And it's going to take a picture of all the fabric on the mat. All right, so now let's get all our pieces so that they're all going to be cut. I can't get that little beak. I'm going to have to go bigger. I don't see a magnifying glass. There. There we go. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. That'll work. Go down. And let me get these so they are both on the fabric. That's great. That'll cut just fine. I'm going to tell it okay. Tell it okay, tell it okay, and cut, and start. Awesome, we're all done. Okay, I'm going to pull this up. Oh, that turned out great. I've had you guys ask me what do I do with these extra pieces of fabric that already has heat and bond on the back. I'll trim them so that I've got fairly big blocks like this. That's a pretty good piece right there. And I keep a little basket in a cubby under my cabinet for my ScanNCut, and I just put my pieces in there. And that way I've got them if I need them. You never know when you're going to have some little project come out. If it's a little piece, I won't keep it, but for those bigger pieces, I do. Like this, I mean, you never know. You might have a project with cherries that you would want to make a red, right? Keep that. No, probably not that one. And then for the feet, oh, these are so nice. Look how good that turned out. Absolutely perfect. Just perfect. And then when you're taking these up, you want to be sure to kind of dig, don't tug, because you can stretch the fabric. I just kind of scrape it like that. And that turns out just fine. When you're making these shapes like this, you do not have to enlarge it at all, because these shapes were made from a scanned in shape using the scanning process in the ScanNCut when we traced. So it's not like the SVG file came with the pattern. That did not happen. So sometimes the SVG files in some of these embroidery designs you get from commercial companies don't match the size you need, and that can be frustrating. But you don't have that problem with these because we created the design. All right, so now I need to do this one more time, and now I need to cut out the wings, and I think that's it. Oh, and the tail. Yeah, the wings and the tail. So I'm gonna take my tail fabric, put it down. You can use a brayer if you want to. What'd I do with my wings? Those wings flew off. Tell it okay. I need to get back to where I've got the entire design again, so I'm just going to touch the home button. I've gone back to the home button and deleted everything that was there, because now I need to pull that entire design in one more time and then delete the pieces that I've already cut. So I'm going to go to Retrieve Data from the cloud. And now I'm just going to keep my wings. I've got this wing I want right here. This wing I'm going to put over here. And then the tail, I want that. I'm going to put that over there. Everything else I'm going to delete. And I'm going to pull the chick and the wing and all that over. And I'm going to come over here to Edit. And then these three boxes right here mean select all. So I'm going to select all, and it wants to know part of the mat or all of the mat. I want part of the mat, and I'm going to take my arrows and move them over here. I think that'll work. So that I delete everything. Yeah. I tell it okay. And it selected everything but the body, so I'm going to touch the body too. There, now everything is selected. I'm going to tell it okay. So I did not select the wings or the tail, and I'm just going to hit delete now. And it says okay to delete. Okay, there. So now everything that I want is still on the mat. So what do I have here? This is a wing. I'm going to put this like right here. Here's that tail. The fabric for the tail is right about here, and I need to rotate it. I'm going to hit Object Edit, and there's the, this is the enlarge, there's the multiply, and here's rotate. I'm going to rotate, I'm going to rotate 90, and I'm going to put it right. I think that'll work. So this is pretty close, but we'll scan the mat again and take a picture of where I've got the fabric. All right, that looks pretty good. So the wing, let's see the tail, I'm going to put it right there. And this one I'm going to move over here. And this one I'm going to move down a little bit. Make sure it's all, I'll move this one down just a little bit more so they don't get so close to each other. That everything looks pretty good. I'm going to tell it okay, select, cut, and start. All right. That looks good. There's my tail. I'm going to trim these up. Okay.